Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nikki Starr, and today I want to talk about a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. It is about birthing the next Starseed generation. And this is happening right now already. And you may have even noticed that these beautiful children that are coming onto the planet are like Buddha babies. They have so much light. They have so much wisdom. They're already so spiritual and enlightened. And we actually see this with every generation. If we look at our grandparents compared to our parents, we see that there was more light within our parents, and then we are more enlightened than our parents, and then our children are more enlightened than us. And so it's like every generation, and even like generation wise, like every decade, the people being born are already so much more awakened, so much like already embodying spirituality. And this is for many reasons. The incarnation lines on the planet were freed up, and so more souls from other galaxies and planets that are more evolved than Earth were able to start entering into the incarnation cycle. For many years, like eons, Earth was imprisoned, and all the souls had to keep incarnating, and there wasn't this jump in evolutionary consciousness. Whereas now we see some of us, even like myself, that we have memories of living on other planets that are more evolved than Earth. And we decided to come to Earth to help with the awakening and healing of humankind, to help save the planet from a destructive timeline so that we could help to foster an Earth that is so abundant and like heaven on earth for all, because this is the type of planet that it's meant to be. And I know that myself and you, and I'm sure other people, you even had a taste of it. And I feel that I already am living the new paradigm. I already am living my heaven on earth. And that's why I do the work that I do. I help to awaken, activate, initiate others on their path. And so especially to people like us who are already spiritually awakened or curious or awakening on our path even more, or just embody the energies of unconditional love and compassion, more advanced souls are choosing us to incarnate. We're the exact parents they want because they know that we'll help to keep them safer. And that requires a big responsibility from our part as well. So what do I mean by that is, first of all, before they even come onto the planet, and even if you already have children, that's okay. You can always start now, is we are here to be the purest vessels for them to come through. So what that means is taking really good care of our mind, our body, our spirit, our environment, our lives, our monetary happenings as well, our business structures, all the things, so that when they come onto the planet, they have an easier time, right? So as parents, we want to optimize our egg and our sperm. So at least 6 months before choosing to procreate together, you want to cleanse, you want to fast, you want to do parasite cleanse, you want to do heavy metal detoxing, you want to minimize any processed foods, you want to eat as organic as possible, you want to clear out as much sugar as possible. When I mean sugar, I mean refined added sugar. You want to eat the healthiest, the cleanest, the most optimal.
If I remember correctly, the sperm cycle for males is about 90 days or 180 days. I can't remember which one, but that's why 6 months is good overall. You also want to do your healing, your transformational work, because we don't want to carry on to and pass on to our children generational karma and wounds. So we've inherited 7 generations before us. But the moment we heal for ourselves and all the generations before us. So every time I go through a massive healing and transformation, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God I didn't have the children yet. And I mean that because as soon as they're born, they take it all on. Even if we heal it when they're still incarnated, they still received it. So ideally, we heal as much as possible so we don't pass it on to our children. So we want to heal the things we inherited from our parents, the things we inherited from our family line, the things that we inherited from our ancestors as much as we can, so we don't pass that on. Just like we want to heal ourselves, we want to become emotionally intelligent so we don't traumatize them, so they trigger us less. So the more we heal our wounds, the less we get triggered. So we're setting ourselves up to be better parents, the more healing, personal development work we do, personal growth work we do. We want to work on our communication. We want to work on the management of our emotions, because children are the ultimate teachers. And depending on how in tune you are with your child and if you're able to pick up on all the cues, they might be crying a lot because it's hard for them to tell you and you're not able to pick up what's going on. Maybe they're gassy, maybe they're allergic to certain things that they're taking in, especially when they're pre-verbal and they're not able to speak. Maybe it's something you're eating in the breast milk if you're a woman, right? So there's so many factors that could affect the temperament of a child, of a baby. And then, of course, that could trigger you or not. So the more you're prepared, the better. I also highly recommend doing ritual to call in the soul, being really intentional, conscious conception, not just like, oh yeah, whoops, we got pregnant. It's so much more powerful to be intentional about when and the kind of soul you're calling in, and to really connect to the baby spirit beforehand. Wow. It makes such a difference because you can already start to receive communication about what they want, what they'll be needing. And truly, 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 I believe that we, as the parents of this Starseed generation, we're not here to teach them anything. They're here to teach us. Our job is to create a safe environment for them, like an incubator for their greatest becoming. So this incubator space allows them to flourish and carry forth the codes that they came here to share with the world. So in 2013, when I did my first ayahuasca ceremony, I learned about my son, this avatar child who was coming in to help with the healing and awakening of human consciousness, and that he was a part of my mission as well. And it was just showing me all the things that he's here to do. And from that moment, I really knew, like, kind of like the Krishnamurti saying, which is, you tell children where to look, but not what to see. So yes, we're their guides, but we're not here to teach them or tell them. They, just like when I had my spiritual awakening, I remembered my lives from other planets. I remembered how literally the humanoids there were being. No one worked. There was harmony with the environment, with the elements, with nature, and everyone was in harmony. We were living in love and harmony. We were living heaven. So I remember remote viewing to Earth being like, what are they doing? And I think I shared this story in previous podcast episodes, but I just remember thinking, like, what are these humans doing on Earth? Like, it's so easy. I'm going to go there and help them. Right? So similar to the starseeds that are incarnating now, they've actually been in training camps preparing for this incarnation, because Earth, no offense, is a mess. Like, this is the primary forefront of the war in this galaxy. right? So actually in the whole universe, not just the galaxy, in the whole universe, Earth is the main attraction. Souls are coming here intentionally to help with the evolutionary shift, to help with the timeline of Earth, because many souls have also lost their planet in other battles. So there's an invested interest in Earth. It's a place for people to come and incarnate where we could still create heaven on Earth. And humanity is at this cross point of, again, where we have to be mindful of the advancement of technology and the advancement of our spirituality happening at the same time so we don't destroy ourselves. For example, doing any kind of things with nuclear stuff or AI that could put humanity and the earth at risk. So we're in a beautiful time of change and transformation, and the starseeds that are incarnating are a part of creating a better future. So we don't want to brainwash them and program them with anything that would not be supportive for them to fully express themselves. Like, they already have a divine blueprint and plan of what they're here to share. And so our job is to help them remember, not forget. Things that make them forget are things like trauma. So if we traumatize our children in any way, part of how we cope with trauma is we literally forget. So we want the birth time, right? So when they're in the womb, we want that to be as nourishing of a time. It's like, that should be a time you as a mother and as a father, like, you're just living heaven on earth, that there's harmony. Then when they're born, not to be born in a hospital, that is extremely traumatizing. They treat you like you're sick there. Not to get an epidural, because then the child comes in and they're like high and they don't even know what's going on. Have a natural birth at home, ideally. There are many safe ways to do that, and we've been doing that since the beginning of time. And if you actually look at the countries that have the best birth outcomes, there is more of this midwifery and less of Western medicine getting involved. We don't want to use Pitocin and induce. We don't want to have C-sections, because there's actually an activation that happens when the child comes through the womb, through the pelvic bone, that really allows for the formation. It's like the last little squeeze that activates the whole body and skeletal system and the whole hormonal pathway. So you really want to have a natural birth. Of course, sometimes things happen that we can't expect, but believe it or not, your body is way more intelligent. Just like you want the child to be born when it's ready. So this idea of inducing when you go past the due date, children can be in there beyond 42 weeks. It's okay. So really allowing the natural intelligence to run its course, eating healthy, and really the first 7 years of the child's life are so key. So again, even if you have children, like, you can start now. It's okay. So it's important that the baby co-sleeps with us. We're social mammals, even the kangaroo. I don't know for how many months, but the baby's always there. If you look at the animal kingdom, mother and child are always together. You do not put it in a separate room, the child, and let it cry itself to sleep. That creates trauma. They will not trust being on earth if we create such trauma at a young age. If a child is crying, sometimes they just need to be near their mother, their father. That is normal. Breastfeeding for as long as possible. This is the best nutrition that was made specifically for that child. So breastfeed as long as possible. Minimize the introduction of toxins, definitely in the first 7 years of life. The first 7 years of life, a child is like a sponge. They're taking everything on. So really feeding them with the utmost care, as organic as possible. Minimize any preservatives, any toxins, any sugars, anything packaged. No. You can make homemade candies that are dyed with turmeric and beet juice as coloring, that are made from gelatin that's grass-fed. You can make it with honey or maple syrup, natural sweeteners that are so much better than any kind of crazy chemicals that you can find on labels. You want to really be in a harmonious relationship with the father or the mother. So the parents must be in harmony, having beautiful sexual relations through the first 7 years of life. And of course, as far beyond as possible, because no matter how you swing it, even though it's probably best for, in some cases when parents don't really get along, sometimes it is best to minimize trauma from the arguments to go and get a divorce. But ideally, you want to have children with someone that you don't even think about that you're together, you're in it, you choose the right match of who to. That's why conscious conception is so important, that you're really choosing the best person to have a child with, so that you stay together, and you stay together in love, happiness, harmony, joy. There's laughter in the home. There's beautiful sexual relations happening, because the sexual energies of the parents feed the energy bodies of the child through the first 7 years of life. And that's essentially when more or less the completion happens. It takes about 7 years for every cell in the body to get turned over. So it basically takes about 7 years for even the child to kind of grow to completion. And then of course it keeps growing and growing. It's still a child at age 7, but that's when, like, you could say, like, all the cells are produced. Like the brain more or less is produced. And of course the brain has neuroplasticity, but it's like, it's the most spongy. It's absorbing the most in the first 7 years. So you want to be the ideal role model, because humans learn as social mammals. So they're literally going to be mimicking everything you're doing, what you say, how you look at yourself in the mirror, how you talk to yourself, how you talk to your partner, how you talk to anyone. So really, you must show up in your highest. You must be the best person, your best self. So that's why even now you can still do your personal development work. If you already have children, you can still choose today to show up differently, to show up in your best. Also, I truly believe in unschooling. Do not send your children to school at all. It is already known, it's public information, that the traditional school models, I'm not talking about Montessori or that, those are better models, like nature-based schools, Montessori schools. But the other models, like just regular general education, especially in the US, which was created by the Rockefellers because they wanted to create worker bees. So it squashes all form of innovation. You want to send, if you're going to send your children to any form of schooling, something that really allows them to flourish with their ideas, their entrepreneurship, their innovation, so they can create, they can build confidence. Memorizing facts and taking a test and then getting a low grade doesn't really say much about you more than about memory, right? So it's better that children can create things to build confidence than it is to give them a score from a 0 to 100 to see how, and then tell them how good they are. That's actually not a good form of education, especially for these star seeds that are coming in with big plans for the betterment of humanity. I also think it's important to create secure attachment with children. So that requires you to be there for them. And if they cry, to show up and to also let them explore at a safe distance. You don't need to smother them. Children learn fear. So the more that you're controlling and fearful, the more they're going to take that on and be scared of life. But the more you allow them to explore and learn on their own, that's going to create a confident child who can go out in the world and really be who they came here to be. We want to minimize labeling our children. We want to really allow them to flourish and be who they came here to be without, and so that brings me back to the programming, is really minimizing any form of programming. That means television, movies, screen time, any kind of gaming, any kind of YouTube. It can even promote things like ADHD. It diminishes the proper functioning of the brain because of these fast imaging. It really affects the brain in a negative way. So really within the first 7 years of life, you really would, if ideally, have 0 screen time. So you might be thinking like, oh my gosh, like these are such strict conditions for children. But think about it. In the first 7 years of life, you're never going to have that back with them. Play with your children. Let them play outside. You know, a lot of parents give screens to their children as a way to shut them up so then they can do what they want to do in their time. And ideally, we don't have children just so then we can like have them be quiet and only have them when we want them. This is our opportunity to allow them to explore, take them to the beach, take them to the playground, let them do arts and crafts, different sensory experiences, play games with them, to create, allow them to learn skills, play instruments. There's so many things that children can do that don't require a screen. And they learn to really be present and in the world and to think. Also, just having them play in nature helps them to understand. And what's coming to mind, interestingly, are the Ringing Cedar series books that were channeled through the author by a woman named Anastasia. And she's kind of like an avatar on the planet who has never lived in any form of society. She has lived only in nature with animals, and she's connected to source in a powerful way. And there they talk about different education models and ways to be in the world that support expansive cognitive processing and thinking that really make us superhumans. So humans are so powerful and potent. And I want to bring that to my last point, which is when these star seeds are coming in, we want to promote activities that are going to help them remember their past lives, because they're carrying with them information from other lives that are helping them for their mission on Earth. So things like meditation, yoga, exercise, helping them to optimize their body-mind function, meditation by health, or even breath work, like all of these practices that we're learning as adults as self-care, we want our children to know them and learn them so that they could receive information for themselves, so they can already connect to all the answers that are inside of them. And I think a really great way to raise these starseed children is to ask them questions. So before we try to tell them what things are, we say, well, what do you think that is? Right? They're going to learn language, and eventually they're going to start to communicate. And once they start to communicate, let's ask them questions, because you'll be surprised at what they share. They know so much more because they're coming in with so much knowledge. They are so advanced. They have lived such beautiful lives before coming onto Earth. So let us prepare. Let us become the best we can be. Let us be so devoted and committed to ourselves as parents, to ourselves in union and relationship. And let's prepare the most incredible incubator environment for them. And with that, I send you so much love, so much blessings. I'm so grateful for all these beautiful souls that are coming in, and just how we're going to co-create the new paradigm together, and everything that they're bringing in to support this next expansion for humanity. I'm so excited to meet my children when they come in. And I dedicate this episode to them because I already am doing my work. And that reminds me, one last thing, ladies, really heal your womb, really prepare yourself, purify. That's all part of that process that we talked about. So if you're still expecting more children, or you're going to call in more, or you already have them, it still serves to do the womb work, because it's going to change how you relate to your children. You know, they come from your womb. And I feel like we can never do enough healing and personal development work. And we do it not from lack. We do it because we really wish to see our lives, our relationships be as beautiful as they can be. We do it from a place of abundance, because we know we're here to live our ultimate potential. We know we're here to create heaven on earth. And so with that, I send you all so much love. Big kiss. And I will see you next time. I'm Dr. Nikki Starr. It's not a coincidence that my name is Nikki Starr, my birth name, right? And so I feel like I'm a spokesperson, and I speak on behalf of the star seeds. And so we thank you for doing your work as a parent, and even if you're not a parent of star seeds and you're just the aunt, the uncle, or around them, treat them like sentient beings. be curious when you look in their eyes and feel the codes that they're carrying them, hold them in their highest vision so that they so easily and gracefully step into their ultimate potential. And so I thank you for being here today. Big kiss, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content, and remember, every Monday the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the ascension path with me and for doing this great work.